Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we'll be grabbing our bathrobes, aromas, and water buckets and heading into the sauna. And we'll be trying to have the best time in there by getting the most feel-good points. We'll be doing that by chilling, sweating, napping, chatting, even fighting or farting. Full Sauna is a game about struggling to relax. It's for 2 to 4 players. It takes 30 to 60 minutes to play, and it's ages 14 and up. Now this is being crowdfunded right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works and I'll see you on the other side. This is a crowdfunding preview, so all the art and components you see here, they're not final, they're prototypes. To see all the most up-to-date art and components, check the link in the description of this video. Now at the beginning of the game, you're going to be able to choose your color, and they all have sort of different pawns there that you'll be using in order to place around the board and do different things. Also, each player comes with their own deck of cards, like this would be for the red player. Now here's the main board in the game, which if you look at the background image of this is a sauna. And over the course of the game, players are going to be playing cards into the sauna where you're sitting possibly next to people. That will do different things. You're also going to need to be possibly messing with the temperature of the sauna, moving it up hotter or moving it down colder. You're going to be moving on tracks, whether it's on the hotter side or the colder side, giving yourself different bonuses, different resources and such. Now the game is played over 12 rounds, and you're trying to have the most feel-good points at the end of those 12 rounds. Now, each player is going to be taking a turn in clockwise order. Now during the main phase of taking your actions, what you'll be doing is playing a card into the sauna, but let's pretend a couple other players did that before us. So let's say the green player played the sumo, put their pawn on there, and the purple player played the pop star. Then it's my turn. Now let's say I go ahead and play the conspiracy theorist. So I'm going to play a card in an empty spot in the sauna, and I'm going to place my red pawn on it. Now notice this has a 1 and a 2. What this means is I'm going to be able to place this, as I place the card, I'm going to place it on the 1, and I'm going to do the main action. Like this says, I get 2 chat tokens for every card next to them. Look at this, there's a total of 2 people next to him, so I'm going to get 4 chat tokens. Now you actually start the game with 5 chat tokens, but you have a hand of cards. You start with a hand of 4 cards, but you do have a deck here. And before you actually get to the main phase of playing your turn, you can spend a certain amount of chat tokens to draw that many cards from your deck. You have a max of 6 cards you can have in your hand, but hey, chatting it up is allowing you to get more cards and bring more people into the sauna, for example. So let's look at some of the main effects of the other cards that the other players play, like the sumo. They get 1 point for the temperature, how hot it is. Now at the beginning of the game it starts here, but there's different cards and effects that will allow you to raise the temperature or cool the temperature down. It starts here. Right now this is at 1, so they would have gotten 1 point, but if this was like this, they would have gotten 4 feel-good points because it's really hot, and that's what this sumo wants. Now the pop star, that got that player either a Zen token or a chat token for every card inside the sauna. So as more people get in there, it's going to be better for the pop star to gain resources. Now we've already talked about the chat, but let's talk a little bit about the Zen. Now everybody starts with 5 Zen tokens, and that's all that's going to be in the game. Over the course of the game, you can be spending these, and you can be sort of stealing some of these from other opponents. Now there's 2 uses for these Zen tokens. One is at the end of the turn, whoever has the most of those is going to get a point. But you can spend 3 of them to move one of your cards from your hand to your relax zone. So let's talk about your relax zone, because that's really how you score most of the points in the game. But before we do that, let's talk about what would happen next turn to sort of set up what this relax zone is and how you normally get cards there. Now let's say this is how the board looked like on my next turn. There's an open spot next to my conspiracy theorist. I'm going to put this card here. Now notice this one does not have an hourglass to move a pawn up or activate. So this is going to activate, but some cards have what's known as side effects. Sometimes left side effects, sometimes right side effects. This is on the left side. So first I'm going to get 2 chat tokens, then we're going to do the main activation, and then there's going to be another sort of side effect over here. So we'll get our 2 chat tokens, and this one says -2 temperature for every card inside the sauna. Right now there's 1, 2, 3, so it is going to go down a lot. Now that's good because this player has been moving this up and scoring 1 point for how hot it is. This guy's turning the temperature down and kind of playing against this player's sort of ability that's going on. So this thing's going to go -2 for every card in there, essentially getting all the way down to the bottom here. It's really cold in there. But then the other part of his main effect is going to be moving around the tracks. And since the sauna is cold, you're going to move around the cold track, and you're going to move however, whatever this is at. Right now it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, so you're going to move 4. Now if you're the first one to move on this track, you go clockwise. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And now here, I'm going to get an aroma, which is a resource we'll talk about in a moment. We'll get 2 points, and we'll get a bathrobe, which is another resource we'll talk about. Now, if somebody else moves on this track, the second person will actually start moving in this opposite direction. Somebody else moves, they'll start moving this way. So they just alternate, because if ever 2 people get next to each other, like this one gets here, it's going to get 4 points. But as soon as they're next to like this, these 2 sort of get knocked out. They knock into each other in an upkeep phase. They would end up moving back to the starting spot. Now, in addition to playing this, and again, this card doesn't have the hourglass, so it activates this, but it's going to stay here until a card ends up removing it. However, you get to move up on all the other cards you have in there. This was at a 1. This is a 2. I'm going to activate this again. 2 chat tokens for every person next to him. So you're sort of comboing together things with multiple times. Now, once it gets here and you've activated this, this will essentially come off, and then this will go into what is called your relax zone. We started talking about this example because we were talking about Zen tokens allows you to, instead of waiting for a card to trigger through all of its abilities, as many times as it's going to do it, you get to spend 3 Zen to move one directly from your hand to your relax zone. So let's talk about this. We're going to move this card to the relax zone. Now there's a spot in front of you, and now this is going to activate. This is sort of your end game scoring if it's in your relax zone. So we're going to get 3 points for every set of an orange and purple card in our relax zone. So if we end up getting a sumo there, for example, this is a full set. We'd get 3 points for this set. So now we're going to be working on sets of oranges and purples to get them in our relax zone for our final sort of combo scoring, if you will. Now you can see if I get this one in the relax zone, I get 2 points for every one of the bathrobes that I own at the end of the game. Now we talked about getting bathrobes from that track. One of the things is sometimes it can get you points depending on this. So now let's talk about a little bit more about these resources. We just talked about the Zen, how you can, you'll get a point if you have the most at the end of the turn, or you can spend 3 to put a card directly from your hand right in your relax zone. This could be huge if you're trying to combo together some things that you've already done earlier this game, especially as the game's getting close to the end. Water buckets is another resource that you can get, and this allows you to move your pawn up on your track and activate an ability again, essentially activating the ability a second time on a turn. That can be very powerful. Here are the bathrobes, and again, sometimes some cards will give you points at the end if it's in your relax zone, depending on how many bathrobes you have there. Or you can discard 3 bathrobes to basically take any card from your hand and then basically redraw them. So you're putting them at the bottom of your deck, and then you're redrawing them to give you a better chance in getting more things. You're hanging out in the sauna longer with the bathrobe there. Aromas are interesting because you can actually place a pawn here and then spend, like if I spend an aroma, it's 2 points if I go here. If I had to go here because someone else was here, it's a point. And then at the end of the round, there's an upkeep phase. So I can decide to keep this here and try to block the spot, or I can take it back. Now, you only have a certain amount of these, and you're using them to put on cards and such, so you want to be able to have enough to activate those abilities, but you might want to sort of block some spots as well. So hey, we just made the sauna really cold. Maybe next turn we put the sleeper in there. We're going to get a point for every level of coldness. That's great. These 2 combo together, awesome. And at the end of the game, if I put this in my relax zone, I'll get 1 point for every blue card in my relax zone. Remember, this one would have to go up 3 times. You'd activate this all 3 times. Now, when you're activating these, you never actually reactivate the side effects, only the main effect there. Now, you'll notice that some of these have locks on there. Now, let's say this green player is kind of upset at the red player because they basically were going against this, they're comboing against him and things like that. So let's say the green player plays this card. This is the Reformed Mass Murderer. Well, first they're going to get 3 chat tokens, but then they're going to be able to clear as many cards as they want from the sauna that don't have lock icons. So they're like, hey, you know what, I'm going to clear this card. Now, this does not go to that player's relax zone. It goes to a discard pile. So they're not going to be able to possibly get this card out of there and score it later. But this one's locked, so they can't do that. So it's going to allow them to do that, but it's also going to take the temperature down for every removed card. And this player does want it hotter, but it's already maxed at 0 at the coldest, so it doesn't really hurt him that bad, but it does hurt him by doing this. So there's different cards that can affect with different cards that are here at the sauna. Then this player would actually move on the cold track now because it's cold. And of course, at this point, this player would also do the 3rd part of the sumo, and they would activate 1 point for every hot, which it's not, and then they would put this in their relax zone, which is at the end of the game, they give them a point for every orange card that they have there. Now, you'll notice that some cards, for some of their side effects, get them flip-flops. There's actually 4 different types of flip-flops on the stand, and you can take those, meaning you would select one of these, and you'd put it in front of you. Now, at the beginning of a turn, you basically could take a one that you have in front of you and flip it over and use it. And so each round you basically, and in the upkeep section, you actually get to flip the flip-flop back over. So basically once per round, starting with the next round after you get one, you get to use the abilities, and these do different things. For example, if you have the Zen flip-flop, that allows you to essentially steal one Zen from any player. Now, the hot and the cold flip-flops, they sort of are inverse for each other. The hot one allows you to either move once on the hot track for free or move the temperature up one space. The cold, as you imagine, does the same thing in reverse. You can either go once on the cold track or make it one step colder. The chat flip-flops essentially gives you one chat token. So some little bonuses there. Now again, the game's played over 12 rounds, and now that you've sort of learned everything, let's step back and look at the whole turn. So at the beginning of a turn, you're going to flip your flip-flops to use them, as we just talked about. You can pay chat tokens to draw more cards. You're going to play a card. You're going to activate that card. You're going to activate any old cards. Any cards that are already maxed out, you put them to your relax zone. You can spend resources to do different things that we talked about. Then once everybody's done this, you go to that upkeep phase where you're sort of just setting things up for the next round. And again, you're going to play 12 rounds. You're then going to score all of your cool combo scoring at the end of the game in your relax zone. And whoever has most feel-good points at the end is the winner. Now let's take a look at some of the other cards in the game. The Farter gets 3 chat tokens once, and then his main effect is you can clear cards, and he gets +2 temperature for every removed card, because the Farter farts and people are leaving. Then they get to move up the track. The Hot Dude, 2 chats, moves the temperature up 2. So this would be a good one to combo with the Sumo, where you get 1 point for every hot, then you put the Hot Dude in, and it's going to make it, put it up +2. Good combo there. Then it's moving up the hot track. The Mobster. Now this one allows you to steal essentially a pawn from another player. So let's say a different player had a pawn on the Sumo 2. When you play this, you essentially get to take theirs off. You put yours on here. Now the Sumo is essentially yours. Now it's only 1 turn away from going into your relax zone. Then you can pay the bathrobe to add a card from the discard to your relax zone. So the Mobster is pretty powerful. The Guru, you can clear cards, and then you'll get 1 Zen for every empty space around them, because the Guru kind of wants to be a little bit by himself. Now Zen, as I mentioned, each player starts with 5 of these Zen, and there's no more in the game. So when you gain a Zen, you essentially are taking it from another player. Now let's look at the 3 points for every set of blue and purple in your relax zone. So there's a little, some more information about some of the cards that are in the game. And if you want to see everything, click that link below. Well, there you have full Sauna. As I showed in the review, you're trying to find the right time to play the right cards, activating abilities, moving up and down tracks, using different resources at the right times to come out in the end. Now, if you'd like to see the most up-to-date art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me right in the description of this video. Now, that's going to take you directly to the crowdfunding page, and I'm sure the creators of Full Sauna would love your support.